I really thought I would be a lawyer or a journalist, someone who's working on social justice issues, although I didn't have a name for it at the time. So I didn't really know. I just wanted to do something to make the world better. In fact, I remember in the 8th grade taking one of those career surveys, and it said I should be a social worker, and I thought it was wrong. I didn't understand what that meant, and I didn't understand what I would be doing. Had I understood better, I would have probably thought, yeah, that sounds like me. So my beginnings in social work actually started here at the University of Texas at Austin. I graduated with a bachelor's degree in social work and a bachelor's degree in government with the intention of going to law school. But during my time here, I really fell in love with social work, and I realized as I was doing court advocacy with survivors of domestic violence that I really loved what I was doing, standing alongside survivors and helping them navigate the system. So I worked at the Houston Area Women's Center with survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault. And then I took the opportunity during my master's program at the University of Houston to do my field placement in the Texas legislature. So I worked a session in the Texas legislature, and then I graduated. I continued to work there for a different representative and ended up becoming her chief of staff. And there I was able to really work on women's health issues, health and human service issues, learn a lot about child welfare. And through that work, I started hearing people coming into the Capitol testifying on bills and using research to justify their points and their viewpoints. And I didn't feel like I had enough knowledge and skill to deconstruct what they were saying with the research. And so kind of on a whim, I decided to go back and get my PhD. I really had no idea what that journey would be like. I didn't really know if I wanted to be a professor. I really just knew that I wanted to be able to create research that could be used to guide policy and practice. And so while getting my PhD, I worked at the Austin Children's Shelter, which is now part of the Safe Alliance. And in that work, I started to work with youth in foster care and really see kind of a different perspective of what was happening with families. So when you're working in a domestic violence setting, what you see is the harm CPS can sometimes do to survivors of domestic violence who are trying to leave situations. And then on the flip side, when you're working in child welfare, you see the harm that's done to children from living in those environments. And I really wanted to try to figure out a way to kind of bring it all together and look at families differently. And so that's really what inspired me to get to this point where I'm at today. Now I'm really focused on what do we do about the child welfare system. We know that it's not working. It's never worked for most kids. We've never really built a system that was fair and equitable for families. And so what I want to spend really the rest of my career doing is trying to figure out how we reduce the size of this system and how we push resources back to families. I think we have gone through generations in this country of separating families in one form or another, and we really need to get back to focusing on that family unit and strengthening that family unit, giving people the resources they need to raise their family, because nobody can raise children alone. And so we need that community and to build that community around families. My name is Monica Faulkner, and I'm the director of the Texas Institute for Child and Family Wellbeing.